be doing about the various factors which help us to determine the evolutionary relationship between organisms, or rather which help us to prove that whatever theory Charles Darwin has said. There were two basic theories, and this question has come in board paper also. What was the two principles that were put forward by Charles Darwin? So basically he gave two basic principles. First was branching descent, and second was natural selection. The two theories put forward by Charles Darwin were branching descent and natural selection. Natural selection we have already discussed yesterday. What did I tell you about natural selection? Kunal, you will tell me. Kunal, you are unmuted. Now you will tell me what is natural selection.
Ma'am, the
Kunal, wondering
has come from the pre-existing one.
Okay, so
And
new generation
has come from the pre-existing ones. And the similarity in the with the ancestrals are um, very
okay,
common.
partly right. Okay, Siddharth, please. Okay, Aditya wants to. Aditya, you've been unmuted. Please tell.
Homologous and
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, natural
Okay.
selection is basically the species which is more adapted towards the climate will get the chance to live and have more chances to get like continuation of species.
Okay, so basically natural selection, what does it mean? It means that the organisms which are better suited in the environment, which are better adapted, because maybe they have some unique features. So if they are having features which make them better adapted to the environment, they show a reproductive fitness in comparison to the organisms which are not well adapted to the environment. So what happens? Slowly and gradually their number goes on increasing, and the organisms who are not well adapted, their number goes on decreasing. This leads to what? This leads to basically increase in the number or evolution of organisms, because the organisms which have a better adaptation, they are increasing, their number will go on increasing, and those which are not adapted will decrease, and then maybe eventually they become extinct. Okay, so this was natural selection. Now what is branching descent? Branching descent means descending down. We are descendants of our forefathers, so we have descended from our forefathers, and then this descending is taking place in a branching method. Means initially there was one organism or few organisms, and then changes in those organisms lead to the variety of species present today. Okay, one of the examples Darwin's finches we'll discuss is also showing this branching descent. That is, maybe there was only one type of a bird. When when those types of that, the population of that bird, it spread up into various islands which had got different types of food habitat, which had different types of environmental habitat. They adapted as per those habitats in order to get better suited for that environmental condition, eventually leading to changes in their morphology,
Ma'am,
somewhat in their anatomy also, resulting in development of some different organism, a sort of new species of organism. Yes, Aditya.
ma'am, we have discussed about that dinosaur which has a like link between the reptiles and the birds, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
ma'am, how can we say that it was the link? We can also like predict that this point, right? No, that might be there would be breeding between reptiles and birds at that time, and which gave the evolve to this type of dinosaurs.
Peter, we can give this. See, definitely there can be 101 different theories that can be put forward. But if we keep the scientific fact in our mind that today, if we try to carry out an intergenic cross, it is not supported very freely in nature. Okay, so today if we try to make a natural cross between reptiles and bird, and for that matter between different genuses with few exceptions, naturally between two genera the crosses are never accepted. That is why we gave the term species the name that similar organisms capable of interbreeding. The other groups are not capable of interbreeding. Okay, so keeping that scientific fact in mind, we can presume that it maybe that it was not because of interbreeding. See, fact can be anything. We are not going there and seeing. As I told you, biology, we are seeing, we are relating it to the current knowledge, and we are giving a hypothesis. We are giving our conclusions. Okay, so on the basis of this, keeping this fact in mind that intergenic, interfamily, interclass crosses are not possible in nature. Naturally, they are not present in nature. So if an organism is found having characteristics of two different organisms, two different classes, two different orders, or two different genuses, maybe that was a common ancestor of those classes, orders, or genuses.
But ma'am, the reason behind like interbreeding between two different species could be that also, no? Because now they have so much evolved और इतनी complexity आ गई है उनके अंदर. That's why they cannot, like their system cannot able to do that. But at that time when they were not that much complex.
इसी चीज को तो आदित्य we gave the name speciation. This is what we call as speciation. The moment reproductive isolation occurs, we say a new species has been formed. Okay, this results in speciation only. तो अगर दो unrelated classes or orders में reproduction आपस में हो रहा है, तो this is something we cannot hypothesize, keeping in mind the current scenario in front of us. हमने देखा reproductive isolation हुआ तो एक speciation ही हो जाता है, एक नई species बन जाती है. Okay?
Yes.
Fine,
Yes,
Aditya? Okay, so let us proceed. We were discussing about the evidences that were showing us that yes, this evolution must have, chemical evolution must have taken place. The first which we have seen the example is the examples of organic evolution were the fossils. Okay, and in fossils I've given you the example of Archaeopteryx, which was the combining link between reptiles and birds. Then we have studied that as we go deep down, the older the fossil are, lesser is the variety of the fossils. Okay, तो इसका मतलब initially कम ancestors रहे होंगे, उनमें से evolved branching descent होकर के present day variety must have been formed. Okay, after that distribution of fossils को भी हमने एक basis लिया. Distribution of fossils, majority of the fossils were present in just give me a minute. Then there is disparity in present and past forms. That means the past forms, maybe they had some unique features of 2 or 3 different genera, and today there are very different types of organisms are present today in comparison to the organisms whose fossils have been found. Okay, then I told you the second evidence for organic evolution or for the development of organisms, how evolution must have occurred is from comparative anatomy and morphology. Okay, and in comparative anatomy and morphology, one thing which we have discussed was homologous and analogous organs. Homologous organs, as I told you, that in case of homologous organs, if the basic structure is the same and function is different, then what does this show? This shows that it is the type of a divergent evolution. Initial structure is same, but depending upon what the environmental conditions are, different organisms started using that same organ in different method, and after using for a very long time, most probably maybe the other characteristics also changed and they developed into a new species. So this is showing us divergent evolution, that is one structure diverging into various types of organisms. When we talk about analogous organs are showing us convergent evolution, how a given environmental conditions can force an organism to use its different organs in the same way. Suppose the environmental conditions of a place are such that only the organisms having an aerial habitat can survive very well. So maybe the different organisms which entered into that area from various places, when they came there, they started using different organs in the same way in order to adapt to that environmental conditions. Okay, but that doesn't mean they had a common ancestor. They may be having different ancestors, but because of such environmental conditions were there, they started using different organs and started adapting to the environment. Example, we studied about wings of bats, wings of bird, and wings of butterfly. All three have a different basic structure. When we talk about the bony structure, what they are made up of, which part of the body they are representing, they are absolutely different, whereas all three are used for the same purpose, that is flight. So the analogous organs show us the example of convergent evolution. Okay, convergent evolution, that means different organs converging together or taking up the same function, maybe because of the environmental conditions that were present. So let us see that slide again that we were doing. Okay, so Fine. So we're doing evolution, and in evolution we have done about origin of life. We have done about the various theories, experimental proof. We have talked about Charles Darwin. Here we have talked about his ship also, HMS Beagle. And then I told you about the two theories. Natural selection is one which is mentioned here. Second is branching descent, that is from same ancestors. Due to changes, different ancestors, different types of organisms, they arise. Okay. Then evidences of evolution. Evidences of evolution. First is the paleontological evidences. We have already discussed this. The fossils. So more than this, we have already done the fossils. The study of fossils. It tells us about what type of organisms existed at what time. What is the difference in the structure of those organisms and the present day organisms, and maybe how new organisms have been formed. When you go to science museum, especially when you go to that science museum, what is that the name called as? Um, it is situated in Jalandhar. It's a very good science museum. I must say it is better than the Science Museum of Delhi also. Pushpa Gujral Science City. When you go to Pushpa Gujral Science City and you see they have made a model. I forgot. I have the pictures of Pushpa Gujral Science City. Next time, just remind me whatever pictures I have for Aditya. Drop me a WhatsApp message for this. Whatever pictures I have of Pushpa Gujral Science City and the pictures of evolution, I'll show you here in class. Okay, so they are showing the fossils which have been found, on the basis of which they have found out how man evolved. Okay, so this is how, when we look at the study of, when we study the fossils, when we study the difference in the structure, we can relate them together and see how different organisms have evolved into the present day organisms. Okay, so these are the paleontological evidence. See, these are their excavations are being done. They are digging out the fossils, and this is how the different fossils that were found. So they can be impressions, they can be leftover samples also. Majority of them are seen in the form of impressions on the rock. Okay, so these are various types of fossils which have been found. Next type of evidence is embryological evidence. When we talk about the embryological evidence, what do we mean by embryological evidence? We noted, see here, this is the embryo of a fish, this is the embryo of a reptile, of bird and humans, and see the amount of similarity in them. We breathe through lungs, but gill slits are still found in the human embryo, and when it develops further, these gill slits, they disappear, and in their place the lungs come and take their place. So what does these pictures show us? That maybe all these organisms, fish, reptile, birds and humans, they had a common ancestor which had these gill slits, and as evolution took place, the different types of organisms appeared, because these structures still appear in the embryo stages of the organism. So these are embryological evidences of evolution. So let us see what is given here. It is said, on the basis of observation of common features during embryonic stages, Ernest Haeckel, he proposed the biogenetic law that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. What does this mean? Development or embryological stages of organisms recapitulates or re-shows their evolutionary history, how they have evolved. So that means we must have evolved somewhere from a fish-like organism. Okay, so because that is why the scientists say that life must have originated from water. Maybe this is one of the reasons. Okay, so ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, how we evolved, how what are our embryogenic stages, shows the way we have evolved on Earth. Okay, why? Because vertebrate embryos show similarities, which are all vertebrate embryos, all the vertebrate show a row of gill slits, whether they are fishes or they are not, they show gill slits in embryo stages. Notochord is present in all vertebrate embryo. Notochord, in all the vertebrates, notochord is present. Later, this notochord, if they are vertebrate, the notochord must be present. So, ma'am, what is so new in this? New thing is that in vertebrates, the vertebral column, the type in which it modifies, this modification occurs later. Initially, it is present in the form of a simple notochord, which I think some student is having problem. Just give, it was a very urgent call from a student. Okay, so notochord is present in all vertebrate embryos, but this proposal was disapproved by Ernest von Baer. He noticed noted that embryos never pass through the adult stages of other animals. Okay, so they said that yes, maybe the embryos have a similarity, but the stages, the embryonical stages in all of them are not similar. They do not pass through the same embryological stages. So on the basis of this, Ernest von Baer, he said, no, there is no similarity. Okay, so Ernest Haeckel proved that yes, our embryological stages, they show that we have evolved, what evolutionary stages we have gone through, but it was discarded by Ernest von Baer. Okay, so this is embryological evidences, and this is what we have already discussed: comparative anatomy and morphology. In this, we have discussed homology. Homology, relationship between among organisms of different groups, but showing similarity in the basic structure and embryonic development, but perform different functions. Structure same, function different. Okay, origin of structure same, function different. Homology of organs of different organisms indicate their common ancestry. So if their basic structure is same, maybe they had a common ancestor. Some organisms from that common ancestor started using that organs in different way, and the diversity, it arises. Okay, homology is found in the forelimbs of whales, cheetah, birds, amphibians, and humans. Basic structure is same, whereas, and what is that basic structure? The arrangement of bones. They all have humerus, radius, ulna, carpus, metacarpus, and pharyngeus. Class 11 structure, the bony structure. Okay, then thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita also represent homology. See here, it is given here. So this is the flipper of seal for swimming. So the basic structure remains the same. This is the humerus bone, radius and ulna, carpus, metacarpus, and phalanges. Wings for birds for flying. Again, see this demarcation. So till here is humerus, till here is radius and ulna. Then our carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. Same order is present, and sequence of bones is present in all these 5 different organisms, but they are all using their structures, similar structures for different purposes. Okay. Then is horns of bougainvillea and the tendrils of cucurbita. They have all arise from the axial node. So the basic structure remains the same, but they are using it for different function. One is using it for protection, and other is using it for climbing. Okay. So this is an example of homology found in plants. So both homology and analogy can be found in plants and animals and can help in evolutionary relationship in both these types of organisms. Analogy, relationship between different organisms, we have done. The structure is absolutely different, but they are using it for the same function. For example, eyes of octopus and those of mammals, wings of butterfly and those of birds, flipper of whales and or dolphins and those of penguins. So whales and dolphins, their flippers are very different from the flippers of penguins. Although we call them both as flippers, but the structure is absolutely different. Tubers of sweet potato and those of potato. Tubers of sweet potato are modified root, and tubers of potato are modified stem. Okay, so analogy is a result of convergent evolution. Different, the anatomical, the evolutionary process, which are making the organisms use their different structure in the same way. Okay, so convergent. One structure being used in different way, divergent. Homology, divergent evolution. Analogy, convergent evolution. Okay. So it is a similar habitat condition that have selected similar adaptive features in different groups of same function. Okay. So as we can see, this is the structure of human eye and this is the structure of octopus eye. So the structure is not very similar. There are many differences which are present, just like you can see how the pupil is arranged, where the lens is present, the type of optic ganglia which are present. Okay, so the structure is different, but it is being used. Both are photosensitive, both are used for capturing the light. So function is same, but the basic structure is quite different. So we'll call it as analogous organs. Similarly, wings of butterfly and wings of birds, modified forelimbs, and these are just cartilaginous outgrowths. So their structure is different, but their basic function is same. Tuber of potato, modified stem. Tuber of sweet potato, modified fruit. Okay, so this is all the types of analogous organs found in animals and plants. Okay, Aditya, want to say something? Shiva, you are unmuted. You want to say something? Okay, let us proceed. So, molecular homology. Now we'll come to one more term which is known as molecular homology. If the word homologous is there, so one thing you have to keep in mind कि जो structure है वो तो same होगा, ठीक है? And I told you when we talked about molecular basis of inheritance, I told you molecular word biology में कब use होता है जब हम nucleotide पर किसी चीज को study करते हैं. Okay, so if the sequence is same in the organism, more or less the sequences are the same, but sequence के same होने पर भी उनका external structure is quite different from one another, we will say that they show molecular homology. जैसे कि apes and humans का अगर हम compare करें तो around 98% of the DNA is same. Okay, तो इतना सारा DNA की similarity होने पर भी when we look at humans and apes, they are very different from one another. So we will say that although majority of the DNA is same, but they are showing a large amount of the use of that DNA. How the organs is being formed is different. That is why two different organisms are being formed. So this is a type of molecular homology. Similarity in the biomolecules of different, particularly कौन सा biomolecule? The nucleic acid. The biochemical similarity point to the same common ancestry of diverse organisms. इसीलिए आजकल majority of the time we are using this molecular basis, molecular science to find out the similarity between organisms. We compare the DNA structure, we compare the DNA sequences, or अगर DNA sequences are more or less the similar, same, then we believe that they must be having a common ancestor. जिनमें थोड़ा बहुत changes we know during replication, during mitosis, during meiosis. So many changes keep on taking place. ये 10th में भी हमने करा था. Diversity का basis ही है ये DNA में कोई भी change हो जाना while the replication is taking place. Okay, so if that changes, small changes are leading to completely different organisms belonging to different genus or species, so this shows that they must be having a common ancestor in the near past. Okay, then is biogeography. The differential geographical distribution of different organisms also indicates common shared ancestry in that restricted region. अलग-अलग जगहों पर वो present है, so that means कि उनका कोई ना कोई common analogous, homologous we have done. एक और चीज है जो यहाँ पर नहीं थी, but while teaching in 10th we explained it to you. That was vestigial organs. कौन बताएगा मेरे को vestigial organs? And we always tell, जब भी हम heredity and evolution पढ़ाते हैं, we always tell about vestigial organs, although it is not there in your NCERT in class 10. What are vestigial organs? And they also show that there must be common ancestors. They also point towards our ancestry, about evolution. Aditya, you are unmuted. Can you give me the answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Shiva is also unmuted. You can give me the answer.
Ma'am,
What
the
are vestigial organs?
Ma'am, these are the organs which are actually hereditary.
Okay, so vestigial organs are the organs which are present in present day organism in reduced form or in non-functional form. So the question comes into the minds of the scientists कि ये vestigial organs present क्यों है? Nature ने हमें tailbone क्यों दी है? Nature कोई use तो है नहीं, tail तो है नहीं हमारी. Okay, why has nature given us the wisdom teeth जबकि वहां तक तो हमारा शायद फूड भी नहीं जाता है chew होने के लिए. Okay, तो इतना पीछे wisdom teeth क्यों दिया होगा? Okay, apart from that, why appendix has been given? Appendix का कोई तो रोल है नहीं, हमारे तो digestive enzymes इतनी बन रही है कि we are not dependent only on the bacteria present in this appendix for digestion. हमारे तो cecum में भी बहुत सारे bacteria होते हैं. Okay, so why these structures must be present in the body today? So it shows, we call these organs as vestigial organs, and these vestigial organs shows कि जब evolution हुआ होगा, इन सारे organs के, all these organs became reduced in their size and structure, and इनका use कम होता चला गया, but maybe they were of immense use in our forefathers, in our the organism from which we have evolved. Like tails are very important for maintaining the balance of the body in monkey and apes, but in us it has no use. And even today, if you see, there are many, or you will come across many instances where a child is born with a small tail. The tailbone extends, and the child, sometimes they are born with a small tail. I forgot. Yes, it is known as, there's a specific term which we give for it. That is abatism. The term which we use for it is abatism. कि कुछ ancestral characters का reappear हो जाना in the present day organisms. So abatism, that is the occurrence of small tail in some humans even today after birth, shows that we have descended down from apes which had a proper functional tail. So vestigial organs are still another important character. Vestigial organs, ma'am, हम लोगों ने humans में तो देख लिया. Do plants also have vestigial organs? Yes, vestigial organs are present in plants also. For example, if you want, you can note down. There are some of the presence of staminodes, that is vestigial stamens in the flowers of some plants. They also show, and pistilodes, that is non-functional pistils. तो अगर ये non-functional है तो ये present क्यों है? Staminodes, which are non-functional stamens, why are they present in some plants? So some flowers of Cucurbitaceae family, they have this pistilodes or staminodes, which shows that maybe जो पहले वाले plants थे, they had both stamens and pistils, functional stamens and pistils, and धीरे धीरे करके one of the organs they lost their function, and only one organ, that is either the male or the female organ, it persisted in the next generation. So pistilodes, staminodes in case of plants, the presence of vestigial organs which may reoccur in case of atavism in humans. Okay, so the muscles of pinna, the nictitating membrane of the eye, then is the body hair, the wisdom teeth, the presence of vermiform appendix, the presence of the tailbone. All these are examples of vestigial organs. There are many vestigial organs present in humans जिनका अभी कोई भी role नहीं है, but they show ancestral relationship to various organisms. Okay, then is the embryological evidences we have already done. Then is fine. So we have to do last is biogeographical evidences. Biogeographical evidences, although they have given only in short. So basically, various what scientists have done. They have a scientist named A.R. Wallace. उन्होंने क्या किया था? They have divided all these organisms, all the zones. Earth को उन्होंने 6 zones में divide कर दिया था. And these zones were called as realms, and these were divided on the basis of distribution of plants and animals. Just a minute. I was telling you that the scientists, they have divided the earth into various realms on the basis of the plants and animals, type of plants and animals present. And they showed that the organisms present in one realm or one biogeographical area, they showed some extent of similarity in their characteristics. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब है maybe the biogeographical surroundings does impact the evolution of organisms. Okay, and these 6 realms were the Pala-Erected realm, the Oriental realm, the Australian realm, the Ethiopian realm, the Nearctic realm, and the Neotropical realm. Detail में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. It is not there in your NCERT, but you should know the biogeography. How does it show that the organisms are related? Because actually we can divide Earth into 6 different zones, और हर एक zone में मिलने वाले plants and animals, they show some extent of similarity in their characters. This is what we mean by biogeographical evidences for evolution of organisms. Okay, then we come to theory of natural selection. Again, it repeats something which we have already done. कि HMS Beagle में बैठ करके चार्ल्स डार्विन निकल गया था. On the voyage, I showed you the way जिस पे चार्ल्स डार्विन went on his voyage. And now when he came back, Alfred Wallace की उसने book को read करा, और उसको रीड करके उसे इंस्पायर होके आज की डेट में भी से कि कॉपीराइट तब कॉपीराइट नहीं होता था. So he got inspiration from Wallace's book, and then he gave his own theory, and the conclusions he made from his voyage were: first conclusion, the existing living organisms share similarity to varying degree not only among themselves but also with the life form that existed millions of years ago. Okay, so abhi, because he came across fossils also, he came across so many organisms, itne sari areas mein ho gaya. So he said that abhi jo present day organisms hai, they have similarity amongst themselves. एक अगर कोई अफ्रीका में है, एक अगर कोई अमेरिका में है, एक एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट में है, so there are similarity between organisms present at various locations, Plus, they are also similar to the organism that existed millions of years back. Okay, there's a gradual evolution of life forms during different periods of geological history, and there has been extinctions also. ऐसा नहीं है कि नए organisms बने नहीं, theory of spontaneous generation नहीं apply करती. We are constantly changing, and some of us means not only humans, some of us, the species, the biodiversity, are getting extinct also. Okay, so any population has built-in variation in characteristics. तो कोई भी population होता है उसमें variations होती हैं. अगर ऐसा होता तो अगर suppose this was not true, तो एक एंटीबायोटिक खाते ही उस तरीके के सारे बैक्टीरिया को किल हो जाना चाहिए था. बट रेजिस्टेंट बैक्टीरिया जिनमें रेजिस्टेंस वाली जीन थी, उसी पॉपुलेशन के कुछ बैक्टीरिया थे रिमेन बिहाइंड बिकॉज दे आर रेजिस्टेंट. So variations are present in population of organisms also. Okay, individuals with better characteristics which enable them to survive, जिनमें better characteristics हैं, just like जिनमें resistance है antibiotic की, they will remain behind. Those which are not resistant, they will die. Okay, will overcome the others who are less adapted under the same natural conditions. यहीं से आ गया theory of natural selection. The fitness of individual according to Darwin ultimately refers to reproductive fitness. उसको उसने कहा ये नहीं होता कि muscles कितनी strong है, which doesn't mean कि आपका heart कितना strongly pump कर रहा है. Fitness in individuals according to Darwin is ultimately कि वो कितने offsprings और कितने reproductively fit offsprings produce कर सकता है. Such fit individuals leave more progeny with more fit individuals than the other. अब यहाँ fitness can be खाली फिटनेस नहीं, यहाँ पे फिटनेस का मतलब हो सकता है बेटर अडेप्टेशन टू द एनवायरनमेंट बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे आर एबल टू रिप्रोड्यूस मोर. ओके, अगर एक ज्यादा तेजी से सपोज हर्ब्स सारी खत्म हो जाए और द एनिमल्स द व्हिच कैन ईट ओनली हर्ब्स दे डाई ऑफ, लेकिन उनमें से जो श्रब्स को भी खा सकते हैं, थॉर्न्स को भी टॉलरेट कर सकते हैं, दे विल ईट मोर, सर्वाइव बेटर, हेल्दी होंगे, दे विल प्रोड्यूस मोर ऑफस्प्रिंग. वो ऑफस्प्रिंग में भी ये एबिलिटी होगी श्रब्स को खाने की, वो श्रब्स को खा के सर्वाइव हो जाएंगे. और हर्ब्स को खाली खाने वाले they will compete with one another, and once the herbs are finished they will die. Okay, so ultimately whatever type of fitness he's saying, the fitness ultimately leads to reproductive fitness which leads to natural selection. Okay, branching, descent and natural selection are the two key concepts of theory of evolution. I've explained both. एक ही ancestor से changes होकर के कई सारी species का बन जाना, branches का बन जाना, branching, descent, and the survival of the fittest, natural selection. Okay, Darwin considered natural selection as a mechanism of evolution. Okay? So branching descent में नए नए species बन रही हैं और कौन सी species ज़्यादा grow करेगी, पुरानी species क्यों dead हो जाएगी, this was explained by natural selection. New life forms arise and evolve in due course of time. All the existing form of life share certain similarity and common ancestors. These ancestors lived at different period in the history of Earth. The geological history closely relates with the biological history. जो हमारी geological history है, that is where we existed, when at what time we existed, it somehow relates to our biological history also. The rate of appearance of new life forms is linked to the life cycle of lifespan of an organism. Obvious सी बात है, अगर एक माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म है जैसे ई कोलाई है 20 मिनट्स में डबल कर सकता है, तो बहुत ही कम दिन में विद इन फ्यू डेज उसमें एक नया ऑर्गेनिजम्स बन जाएंगे, या एवोल्यूशन ज्यादा फास्ट होगा. द ऑर्गेनिज्म व्हिच हैज गॉट अ लॉन्गर लाइफ स्पैन 100 इयर्स या 200 उसकी लाइफ स्पैन है, तो नया ऑर्गेनिज्म बनेगा, वो रिप्रोडक्टिव एज पे पहुंचेगा, फिर उसमें रिप्रोडक्शन होकर के नए ऑर्गेनिजम्स बनेंगे, फिर थोड़े बहुत चेंजेस हुए. सो इट विल टेक मिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स फॉर एन ऑर्गेनिज्म व्हिच हैज अ लॉन्गर लाइफ स्पैन टू इवॉल्व, whereas those with a shorter lifespan can evolve very quickly within few days, few months or years. Okay, the term fitness has a genetic basis for getting selected and evolved. Adaptive ability is inherited and has a genetic basis. क्लास 10th में हमने पढ़ा था, दो तरीके के चेंजेस होते हैं, दो तरीके के ट्रेड्स होते हैं, एक होते हैं acquired traits, एक होते हैं inherited traits. Acquired traits कभी भी it did not lead to evolution because this is something we acquire. हमने books पढ़ी, we become intelligent. Doesn't mean our children will be intelligent. Okay, if I join a gym and I build up a good body, doesn't mean my kids will also have a very good body. Till the time they go and do gymming, they will not develop a good body. Okay, because these are adaptive traits. if suppose intelligence जो है वो IQ level की वजह से, it is because of genetic are, if those same gene goes to my kids, they will also be that very intelligent. ठीक है, अगर higher IQ है तो. Okay. Similarly, if suppose I am suffering from I have the genes for sickle cell anemia, it is a genetic trait. It will be transferred to my kids also. Fine. So similarly, these genetic traits, till the time the trait is genetically present, it is not inherited by the offspring. Okay. Natural selection. Natural selection is based on certain observations which are factual. They are as follows. Natural resources are limited, so populations are stable in size except for seasonal fluctuation. Okay, so natural selection किन चीजों पे based है? The number of organisms, the population, जो species है, उसका size stable रहता है. हो सकता है कुछ time के लिए बढ़ जाए, कुछ time के लिए कम हो जाए, because the resources available on this earth are limited. Unlimited resources नहीं है. So because of competition, because of predation, because of lessening of resources, किसी भी वजह से all these factors help or contribute in keeping the population stable. ठीक है, क्योंकि population stable रहती है, इसलिए कुछ जो better adapted होते हैं उनका number increase होता है, तो जो well adapted नहीं है उनका number decrease भी होगा, so that the population remains stable. Members of population do not show variation of every characteristic. No two members of population are identical, even though they show similarities. आज तो इस चीज को हम मानते हैं. 99.8% of our DNA may be similar, लेकिन वो 0.2% differences gives us so many differences. IQ level का difference, height का difference, skin का color different, hair color, eye color different. Okay, so many differences are seen amongst the same human race, because जबकि 99.8% of our DNA is similar. So populations के जो दो organisms होते हैं उनमें कोई ना कोई difference होता है except identical twins. Theoretically, population size will go exponentially if everybody reproduces to maximum capacity. It is seen in growing bacteria and micropopulation. Theoretically, तो population size बढ़ता चला जाएगा, ठीक है, अगर उनकी reproductive capacity proper है, लेकिन ये practically नहीं होता है, because ultimately some of the other thing becomes limiting. Food बन जाएगा limiting, water limiting resource हो जाएगा, या the surface area will become limiting. So theoretically it is growing exponentially, but practically it is not exponential growth. You understand logistic growth and exponential growth? Exponential growth curve. Okay, exponential growth curve. If everybody is reduced to maximum capacity, it is growing. It is seen in growing bacterial and microbial population. What is exponential growth curve? Can you tell me? We have done in class 11. Jaldi se. Yes, who will tell me exponential growth curve? Ma'am, anybody's hand raised?